Good morning, everybody. I can't tell you how excited I am to see each and every one of you here today. I'm sorry about the circumstances by which you're here, but I really believe that everything is for a reason. And I think that you now have an ability to make an impact on an even bigger stage. And I look forward to welcoming you as partners. But first I want to say to Bo, thank you so much, and to Ty and to the Pinnacle Group. Pinnacle means the top. And I've met a lot of people in this industry over the years that I've been involved with it. And I've spent a lot of time now with Bo and with Ty. And I think as leaders, they are as strong and as good and as experienced as any that I've ever met in any company. And I think that we're all fortunate to be partners with them. And thank you for your leadership, for your history, for your acknowledgement by other people in our industry. And the time that we've spent together, I've gotten to know you as humans as well. And I think that that's ultimately what it's all about, because we're about people. But greetings to everybody. Welcome to Shaklee. Anybody here been in Shaklee before? Been visiting? There you go. I think Shaklee, what I wanted to do is share with you a little bit my reasons for being in Shaklee, because about 6 years ago, I was in your shoes looking for where I would like to make my home. And I looked for a little bit longer than you probably have, because I looked for 5 years. And I had a team of very smart people do a lot of analysis of trying to figure out which company would be a great investment. And I want to share with you why I picked Shaklee and why I hope it is also going to be a fantastic home for you as well. You know, if you're going to be in business, you should pick a business which can be a great investment. One of the things which I think each and every one of you understand is that the real money in our business is not being made in the short term. The real money in this business is being made in the long term. And the idea of building a network of people and introducing them into products that can help change their health, the value of that never gets paid out in the first year, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, the fifth year. It's kind of like the example when we have someone named Al Hagerman who joined Shaklee 47 years ago and has averaged $500,000 a year for 47 years. And the real wealth is created over time. And most people don't think of time in a way which is, you know, we're all, and I remember when I was growing up, my father used to tell me, he goes, Roger, if you want to make millions, you can do that in the short time. If you want to make billions, you have to do it over the long run. And like most children, with respect to your parents, you sort of ignore that and you say, I want to have it now and I want to do it today and I don't want to wait. But the reality is that it's the idea that many of you would tell the story of you put a penny in and it compounds over time, how much that is. Compound growth is the secret to significant wealth. And so if you can be in a business where you can look out 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and then generations of your own family ahead of time, if you have a business that you can grow a little bit every day, the compound effect of that is very, very significant. So what I was looking for in a business was I wanted to have something which was real and intangible. I've done startups before, and I spent a lot of my time when you do a startup, you're just doing things. You're designing logos, you're creating new products, you're inventing things, you're trying to figure out the model, you're hiring people, you're spending a lot of time and energy not growing the business, because there's a lot of operational administrative things. And you know 99.9% of all startups fail. So even if you get lucky, it's very hard for a startup. I wanted to take a platform and start from there. So I went around and looked for a company that I thought was at its most interesting intersection, where it had a very strong foundation and past, but when I bought the company, the only value that I would get is for future growth, because you pay the people you buy the company from for the entire value of the business as it is today. So if it doesn't have a growth potential, then it wouldn't be a good investment. So I wanted to find the company that had a great foundation, but also had substantial growth potential in front of it. And I think in our business, there's no other company like Shaklee. I mean, if you were, you have a 55-year-old heritage, you have hundreds of millions of dollars invested in product development. There is not a company today that could justify the amount of dollars that we have spent in creating these products. Nearly 100 published clinical studies in peer-reviewed publications, 101 medals, gold, silver, and bronze medals won by athletes, okay, powered by Shaklee. When the astronauts re-enter space, re-enter orbit from outer space, they drink a drink called Asterade, which Shaklee has formulated for them. It's a rehydration drink. And here's the funny thing about Shaklee. The more you scratch the surface, the more you appreciate things and the better it seems. And that's such the opposite of most companies. I remember, normally when you buy a company, 6 months later you figure out all the things that they didn't tell you about, they managed to hide from you during your due diligence period. The first 6 months after Shaklee, I discovered things. I discovered that Shaklee was the first company in the world to be certified to offset its carbon emissions, okay? I'm like, we did that because it was the right thing, because we were founded on a principle of living in harmony with nature. And every decade since 1956, we try to say, what does that mean? And then since we take from nature to make the best natural health products, we thought we should give back an equal part. So in 2000, we became the first company in the world to offset our carbon emissions. Now, imagine not even knowing that after having an army of people go through and look at what's in the company. And so the company did it but never talked about it. So we said, we're going to change that. We're going to continue to do the right things, but at least we're going to get marketing credit for it. Right? And then we went on Oprah Winfrey's show. That we became one of Oprah's favorite things. Our products are being used to clean the White House. They're being used to use the Vice President's residence. And it's starting to spread, and we start to talk about it. The more you learn about us, the more there is there. And I think one of the great assets in today's world is that people want authenticity and they want integrity. And authenticity comes with time. It doesn't get created overnight. If you want to be a green company, you can't just declare yourself a green company. I mean, consumers are too sophisticated today. They've seen so much hype and so many advertisements and so much stuff that they want to see what the company has actually been doing over time before it was cool or fashionable or hip to be that kind of thing. So we can point to 50 years of heritage to that. That's a real asset, because one of my theories is that, or questions I asked when I started to look at this industry, is why is the direct selling industry so small? Why, as a percentage of the total retail space, is it so small? I mean, we are a $120 billion industry. The biggest company in our industry is $10 billion. Compare that to Procter & Gamble, Unilever, L'Oreal, all these other companies that are major product companies, but why are they so much bigger? And my conclusion is the reason why our industry isn't bigger is because of the reputation of our industry, that there are a handful of companies who have tainted the reputation of the industry by overpromising and underdelivering consistently. And so that creates hype. And I said, instead of us trying to go after or fight tooth and nail for the 13 million people in this country who are members of the Direct Selling Association, why not try to find a platform that can attract the 300 million people who are not? Because there's a lot of them. And the reason why they are not interested in it, for the most part, is reputation. Because when you join a company, you represent it, becomes part of your life. And this is where it drives me crazy, and it bothers me when people like yourselves are put into a position where the companies don't appreciate the real contract that they make with people. There's an implicit moral contract. When a company says, come, join us, and bring your most important relationships in your life to the company, in my opinion, has a moral obligation to care for that and to be there. Because you are not stores talking to random customers. You are people who bring people into your lives. And your reputation and your standing among your most important relationships is critical. And the one thing that I can promise you about Shaklee is that we've been around for 55 years. We're going to be around for a long period of time. And I think if you take the idea of also your own personal relationships and having comfort to where you bring, because I wanted to find something that I could be comfortable standing up to the world and representing. And basically, I was not comfortable with many of the companies I saw. I didn't believe in the products, even if it was a good business temporarily. I didn't believe in the values. I didn't think the company had the capacity, some other companies had the capacity to really deliver on the promise of a lifelong or multi-generational income potential, because it could be around for that long until I found Shaklee. So we just go back to the point of reputation. This year is the 100th anniversary of the Direct Selling Association. And they invited me to give the opening keynote speech. And I said, in my opinion, in the next 20 years, the 3 largest direct selling companies in the world are going to be Apple, Procter & Gamble, and Shaklee. And if you think of it, what would happen if Apple woke up tomorrow and said, we are going to create a direct selling distribution model? How many people would flock and try to sign up? In fact, they would have to pay very little in commissions because people would want to be associated with that brand. Okay? And the only difference between Apple and a company like a Shaklee, okay, is sort of 2 things. One, compared to other companies, I mean in our industry, not Shaklee, is the reputation. Like, no one thinks Apple is a scam. They want to be part of it. Okay? And the second thing is they've made it cool. They made it cool. So one of the things that we saw with Shaklee is that Shaklee had a heritage. You have to remember, there was a period in Apple's history where Apple was decidedly uncool. So Apple started strong, then it went through a dip, and then it went back up again. And I think if you look at the Shaklee history, Shaklee started out, became a Fortune 500 company in 1983, then went through a period of kind of stagnation for a period of time, and now we're going into the phase where we're going to be hip, cool, relevant, contemporary, fantastic, fabulous, and grow in a significant way, providing we can attract the kinds of people exactly like yourselves. You know, I was in Japan last week talking to our Shaklee family members there. And by the way, part of the language in Shaklee is that ever since we were founded, when you join Shaklee, you remember the Shaklee family. We've been calling our distributors members of our Shaklee family for 55 years. And it's a wonderful, we like to say it's all the benefits of family without any of the politics, okay? So it's a good thing. And I was saying to them, when Dr. Shaklee started this company 55 years ago, I bet you he spent at least a year of his time never talking to as many people as are in this room today.